Hello, everyone, and welcome to 6th grade health. Today, we're going to discuss the immune system. In our previous classes, we have discussed non-communicable diseases and communicable diseases and how they affect our bodies. Today, we're going to discuss the one system that makes sure that we do not get sick, and in the case that we do, how to take out those pathogens as fast as we can before we get permanent damage inside of our bodies. So, let's start with the reading, okay? Pathogens are in the air you breathe and the food you eat. They are on almost everything you touch and everyone you get close to. So why aren't you sick all the time? Your body has a natural ability to fight pathogens. This ability is called resistance. Think of resistance as a series of defenses meant to keep pathogens out. Some defenses keep pathogens from entering your body. When those defenses fail, other defenses find and kill pathogens that do get in. However, when your own resistance is not enough and you become sick, medical science works to cure you. Okay, so in here we know that pathogens are everywhere. In our previous classes, we have discussed that pathogens are any being, be it protozoa, fungi, viruses, and bacteria that might enter our body and harm us, okay? So we are not sick all the time, even though we are always in contact with pathogens. That's because our immune system is always working nonstop. They are prepared to destroy any type of pathogen that might get inside of our body. And once they are inside, because our defenses did not work properly, we're going to try to eliminate them as fast as we can with the help of our immune system and other type of help from medical sciences, okay? For example, here we have some pathogens that might enter our body. Let's pretend that this column that we have right here, the pink one, is going to be those, it's going to be our skin. Here we have a pathogen that's moving very slowly towards our skin. It's going to bounce back because the skin is actually one of the first defenses against those types of pathogens. It's not going to be able to enter it. That's why we have several types of defenses. So, your body's first line of defense is the skin and the mucous membranes lining your mouth, throat, and other surfaces inside of your body. Your skin and your mucous membranes form a barrier that helps keep pathogens out. Some of the substances produced by the skin and mucous membranes, including sweat, tears, and saliva, contain chemicals that kill pathogens. Okay. I do not need you to stick your finger into your nose or your mouth to know that there is saliva and mucus inside of it. They are supposed to kill several pathogens, but not all of them. For example, sometimes we eat something that might not be clean enough for us to eat, and we will not get sick because our saliva, our sweat, our tears, anything that comes in contact with what we're eating is going to kill those pathogens. But they are not strong enough to kill any type of pathogen that may enter our mouth. For example, if we started licking the floor, we will most likely get sick. So don't try that at home, please. Okay, if pathogens push past the barrier formed by the skin and mucous membranes, a second line of defense goes into action. This is the immune system, the body system that recognizes and destroys invading pathogens. White blood cells are a key part of our immune system. One kind of white blood cell makes antibodies that help fight disease by attaching to specific pathogens. Okay, try to think of your immune system as a police station. In a police station, we have officers and we have several lists of people who are wanted. Okay, depending on how dangerous they are. The job of the police is to recognize those people that are wanted and hunt them in their entire city or town, whatever they are guarding. So, our white blood cells will work as the police, and pathogens will be those who we want. We're going to try to find them, recognize them immediately, and try to eliminate them from our body. To do so, our white blood cells also make antibodies. Antibodies are going to be the ones that attach to the pathogen and it's going to destroy it depending on what type of pathogen it is. Okay, so it's like the weapon Depending on what we need to destroy, we're going to use different types of weapons. So there are millions of different pathogens, and your body makes millions of different antibodies to fight them. Antibodies target specific pathogens, either killing them or marking them. In here, we have 3 steps of what to do. First, the bacteria is going to try to enter our body. Then it's going to try to cross the barriers, which is skin and mucus. Skin and mucus will deter the pathogen from entering the body. It's going to distract it. It's going to stop it from entering our body. On steps 3 and 4, we have antibodies and memory cells. Your immune system learns how to fight specific pathogens each time you become ill. The next time the pathogen enters your body, your immune system rapidly produces antibodies to fight it. This ability of the body to remember how to make antibodies to a specific pathogen is called immunity. Okay. Have you ever thought that the times that you get a cold, the flu, for example, it's not as common as you usually do, and each time gets worse? Why? Because your body already knows who is trying to fight, who they are trying to fight. If, for example, we are getting the virus of influenza, okay? We recognize that virus, and the next time it tries to enter our body, we will try to kill it before it even attaches to any type of our insides. So your body is going to try to remember, this guy is bad. We are not supposed to let him in. We destroyed him this way last time. In every TV show, there's always this huge monster that comes back every season, and they have to find new ways to destroy it because every time it's going to become more powerful. The same thing happens to our insides. They already recognize the threat. The threat is going to become stronger because it recognizes that our immune system is getting stronger too. Sometimes we will be able to destroy this pathogen no matter how many times it tries to enter our body. That's what we call immunity. Sometimes our body is going to try harder and harder to fight certain diseases. So if you stop this video and click on the link, this presentation is going to be uploaded to Academia. You can find it in the file section. You will find a short video explaining the complexities of our body. It's going to explain how white blood cells recognize different types of pathogens and how they swiftly kill them off before they affect our body. Now, we have several body defenses besides our immune system. There are a lot of things that we do to avoid being hurt by pathogens. So first, we have the mucous membranes. We have already discussed it. These are types of mucous membranes that you can find in pictures under a microscope. Mucous membranes produce mucus, a sticky substance that traps pathogens as they enter your body. Some mucous membranes are lined with tiny hair-like structures that move with a wave-like motion. These sweep pathogens towards the outside of the body. Okay, we might think that our nose is pretty gross. We know there's a lot of mucus, we have hairs on it, but that's actually very necessary. Imagine pathogens as flies. When there's a fly trap, they get stuck to it and then they die. That's what our mucus works. That's how our mucus works. It's those pathogens are going to get stuck to it and they are going to die. And in the case of hairs, they're going to brush them away and deterring them from entering our body. We also have the thymus and spleen, 2 organs that are incredibly important. The thymus and spleen produce white blood cells called lymphocytes. One type of lymphocyte produces antibodies. Antibodies attach themselves to pathogens. The thymus is the one on the picture on the left and the spleen, the one on the picture on the right. Here we have that they produce lymphocytes. Those are one of the main policemen inside of our very complex police station inside of our bodies. We also have fevers. The reason why we burn up is because we have to burn them out. Fever helps your body produce these kinds of cells that fight invading pathogens. Fever also slows the growth of some bacteria and speeds cell repair. Okay, the reason why we have a fever is not something bad. In fact, the fever is going to burn them up, it's going to hit them, and they are going to either grow slowly or they are going to be destroyed by the heat. Then we have blood platelets. Blood platelets are fragments of cells that live in your bone marrow. When you get cut and puncture a blood vessel, platelets rush to the wound. The platelets release chemicals that start clotting process. Your blood forms a clot called a scab on the surface of your skin. Your punctured blood cell is going to be repaired. Okay, if we see the picture in this slide, here we have red blood cells, which is this huge red form that looks like a lifesaver. We have the lymphocytes, the one that we discussed in our previous slide, and then we have platelets. See how platelets are developing tentacles that are trying to grab as many red blood cells as possible? It's because they slow down our bleeding. Every time that we get cut, every time that we get a wound, it's going to break our skin. And when it breaks our skin, the first line of defense in our entire system, it's going to leave it, what's the word? Sorry. It's going to leave it vulnerable for any type of pathogen to enter. The idea is to close that hole, that opening, as fast as possible, and that's what platelets are for. They're going to come closer and closer, and they're going to grab a bunch of our red blood cells, and they are going to try to stick it into our wound, because the oxygen is going to solidify them and it's going to form a scab. That's why every time that we're playing on the playground, we get hurt, we get a small scab. Let's continue. Vaccines. We are in the middle of a pandemic. We know what vaccines are. They are something that we crave. We want them to come closer. But how do they work? A vaccine is a medicine that contains dead or weakened pathogens. These dead or weakened pathogens cause the immune system to form antibodies. In turn, the antibodies produce immunity to the disease without having the pathogens cause the disease. Okay, so in our previous classes, we have discussed this subject. Vaccines actually need the virus or bacteria that is causing the disease in our body to properly work. They destroy it, they make it as weak as possible, and they inject it into our body. Once they are inside, our immune system is going to recognize it as a threat and it's going to kill it. But since they are so weak, so weak, they are not going to develop the disease inside of our body. So by sending a weakened type of virus or bacteria, we allow our body to recognize it and destroy it without harming our entire system. You can be vaccinated against many viral diseases, including measles, rubella, which is German measles, mumps, and chickenpox. A few vaccines for diseases caused by bacteria, including tetanus and whooping cough, are also available. Right now, they are developing a vaccine against the COVID-19. It's important for you to know that this vaccine is not going to deter the sickness from affecting you. It's not going to, the vaccine is not for you to cure you from the virus. It's just going to weaken it into a disease that we can control. Okay, so if you get the vaccine, it's not that you are never going to get COVID-19 again. It's just going to make it weak enough for us to fight it with prescription drugs from the drugstore. So keep that in mind. It's not going to make you immune to the disease, but it's going to help you weaken it and control it. In that way, your life is not a danger. Then we also have immunization. Immunization is a dose of vaccine that makes you immune to a disease. To remain immune, you sometimes must be vaccinated more than once. For some diseases, including tetanus, you need boosters or later doses of the vaccine to stay immune. Okay, if you pull your sleeve, you're probably going to have a small mark in your arm. That one is from a vaccine that you were injected with as a child. You will not need a second dose of those vaccines because they already make you immune to those diseases. In the case of tetanus, tetanus happens when we cut our fingers or any part of our body with something that is rusted. We might have a vaccine against tetanus, but we need later doses of the vaccine to be completely immune because we need to double check our protection. Then we have antibiotics. An antibiotic is medicine that kills pathogens such as bacteria. Antibiotics can quickly and completely cure many communicable diseases that once were deadly. Antibiotics do not kill viruses, so they cannot be used to cure colds, the flu, AIDS, or other viral diseases. Okay, as the name says, antibiotics. Biotics meaning bacteria, and anti meaning no. So they can kill off any type of bacterial disease that we might get, but they do not have any effects against viral diseases. So it's very important that we do not consume antibiotics when we have a viral disease. It's not going to help. Now we have Sir Alexander Fleming. This man accidentally created one of the greatest antibiotics of all time. Sir Alexander Fleming was growing Staphylococcus bacteria in a lab dish. Okay, a lab dish, if you do not know what it is, it's a very small glass dish in which we collect bacteria, we stick it into a freezer and make an enclosure for it to either grow or die, depending on what we want to use that bacteria for. In this case, Mr. Fleming or Sir Fleming was using Staphylococcus. The dish was contaminated by a mold called penicillin. The mold oozed a fluid that killed Staphylococcus. Fleming called the fluid penicillin. Today, many types of penicillin are used to treat many kinds of bacterial infections. Okay, so the idea when we use a lab dish is to avoid contact with other subjects unless that we want to add something to that dish. So by mistake, he left it out and mold started to grow onto the bacteria, effectively killing them. So when he noticed that the bacteria was being killed by the mold, he decided to use the mold, study it, and make a fluid that will be used in many injections in later years. In fact, it was the reason why many soldiers in the Second World War survived, because they defeated the infection from several wounds using penicillin. In 1945, Sir Alexander Fleming, along with Howard Florey and Ernst Change, who also did work on penicillin, received the Nobel Prize in Medicine. Because as I said, they saved many, many lives later in the Second World War. Here's a link to a short video explaining what happened to the Staphylococcus in the lab dish. Then resistance. When a large number of people have been using an antibiotic for a long time or for many minor infections, pathogen can develop a resistance to the drugs. If this happens, the antibiotic can no longer kill the pathogen. So the same thing happens with our body. Once we recognize something as a threat, we try to kill them off as fast as possible. Bacteria can also recognize the threat. So when we use antibiotics over and over and over, the bacteria is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And eventually it's going to develop our resistance to it, and it's going to be useless for us to use certain antibiotics. Almost all of the important human pathogens can be treated with antibiotics and develop some resistance to them. You can avoid making a bad problem worse. Take only antibiotics that your doctor has prescribed. Finish your whole prescription even if you feel better before it's gone. Okay, the reason why doctors have to write down in a paper, please drink acetaminophen of, 200 milligrams for 3 days, it's because there's a certain amount that we need to consume depending on the disease that we're suffering. If you consume too much of that medication, your body is going to build a resistance to it, and so will bacteria and virus, and it's going to become useless. And if you do not use enough of them, your body will not have the ability to fight off the infection. So it's very, very important that you follow the instructions that your doctor is giving you. Okay, there's no homework today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And please remember that this presentation, along with the reading of this class, will be uploaded to Academia. See you guys.